So if you have your book one handy, that's good. If you don't have book one handy, don't sweat it. Number two, um, have your Quran handy. And then number three, have a good dictionary. If you're on your phone or if you're on your computer, Merriam-Webster is a good dictionary that I usually always use on the computer. Um, we this is kind of like a preview of what we're going to do on Sunday. Okay, so we're just going to kind of test the waters on this. We might not get through all three ayats today. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, don't worry about it, Sister Sultana. Well, let me ask you, Sister Sultana, are you planning to do book one as an extension course?
Yes.
Okay.
You know what? I think, wait a minute, let me check. I did order something. Let me check, make sure I'm not telling you a fib.
Okay.
Okay. Allah.
So then it might just be a little white lie.
It's a flub, a flub.
so so early this morning, I was just reading this and I said, let me get all this written down before I go back to sleep. And so I jotted down some notes and I said, well, I'll just share this in the morning. Now, me personally, my mindset is this: more so now than ever before. I mean, I've always believed this, but tomorrow's not guaranteed to any one of us. I sat and I watched the video of that rapper. I think it was down in the city, and he died at the DJ booth. You know, I think he said, let's hear everyone make some noise. And he died right there. Now, I don't bring this up in a way of mocking, but to show that the next minute is not guaranteed. And so if we stay prayed up and if we stay in the right mindset and the right with the right thoughts, then when that moment comes, our goal is we want to die a Muslim, correct? Okay. Because we're all going to die eventually. That's just it is what it is. But when you and I look at the Holy Qur'an, at least my humble opinion, um, death is not the end. So that's as far as I can go on that, because I haven't heard the minister teach on it, and I'm not going to try to go ahead of the minister. Um, so whenever I'm blessed to receive something, I feel obligated to share it with the believers, because when it's time to leave, I don't want to take anything with me. I want to leave it all here. And then it kind of goes back to something that a brother told me years and years ago. This was back in 98. I was working at a youth detention facility, and I was having a conversation with one of the Catholic priests. His name was Father Nana. He was from Ghana, and we went out to lunch one day. And this was before I had changed my name. But he says, Brother Anthony, he says, if you had, I think he said 30 days. He said, if you had 30 days to live, what would you do? And I said, Father Nana, if I had 30 days to live, I would try to do as much good as I could do, so that when I'm gone, people would remember me as being a positive person. He said, well, why don't you do that? Because you don't know. And that has stayed with me ever since. We don't know what the next minute brings, the next hour. Every time I go to work, there's no guarantee that I'm going to come home. It's just the nature of things. But what I'm seeing now is that you can go to the grocery store and not return home. So it's just, we're living in a crazy world, correct? Yeah, with me.
Yes,
Since
sir.
since nobody likes to be on camera.
Well, let's see.
That's why I don't recognize a lot of people that say this. I got to go around listen for your voice. I got to go around. Oh wait, that sounds like so and so. Sister Charlotte did that. She came up. Now this was back when we had the mask on a couple of years ago. We were wearing masks, and she walked up. She goes, "Brother Luke, Mom." I'm like, And my mom thinking, how the hell you recognize me? I got a mask on. She said she recognized my voice. Anyway, since tomorrow's not guaranteed, we want to do as much good today so that we can be in the grace of Allah, so that whatever takes place after this of good, that's where we want to be at, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's just a long-winded explanation, but I feel like whenever I receive something, I'm obligated to share with the believers. Now, first point, I just want to touch on this briefly before we get into the ayats. Have we all watched that video? I think I sent it out on our on the phone, where Dr. Ava is talking about dreams,
Yes, sir. Yes.
the significance of the dreams.
Yes, I watched it.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't pull it up. I couldn't pull it up.
You couldn't pull it up? Okay. So that's one person that has not seen it. Is there anyone else that has not seen that video?
No, I have not seen it yet.
Okay. So what we'll do, it's a short clip. So I'll play that. I'll give you a quick synopsis to kind of let you know where my mind is going with this. But in the link, in the video, she speaks about how dreams are a communication from Allah. Okay. Now, we're not talking about visions. We're talking about just regular dreams. She deals real quickly and succinctly about the science of dreams. And then I had posed a question to some of the believers. I said, if we were to wake up, because a lot of times when you wake up from a dream, if you don't catch it in time, it's like a vapor. Within 10, 15 minutes, it's like you can't remember what you're dreaming, right?
That's right.
So there was a what if that came to my mind. What if when you had the dream, you woke up, you wrote that dream down? Now, if this is a communication from Allah, then this dream would be very, very significant, correct?
That's right.
This would mean that we have a direct communication with the Savior, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what would happen if you wrote that dream down? Then after you wrote down everything you remember, what would happen if you went back to the beginning, went over that dream again, and then tried to pick up some additional data? Because we know that when we go back, more data is going to come to the surface, right? Now, if we go over that dream constantly, we sit there and we just go back over it and over it and over it, more data is going to come up from that dream. Does that sound relevant or significant? Now, what is the purpose of doing that during auditing? What we're trying to do is we're trying to remove the charge so we can refile that event in standard memory so that that memory still exists, but it exists without the emotional charge, correct? Okay. Then the thought comes to mind. If we go and recount that dream over and over and over, and every time we recount that dream, we're bringing up more and more data, then wouldn't that dream become refiled in standard memory? It's just a logical deduction, right? Now, if that dream is refiled in standard memory, and if that dream represents a communication from Allah, what effect would it have on us to have all these communications filed in standard memory? I mean, does that sound interesting?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's awfully quiet. Am I in the right room today?
In the right room.
Okay, it's awfully quiet. So these are the things that go through my mind. It's just, okay, so this communication, it gets refiled in standard memory. Now, with that's laying the base. With that thought in mind, let's pull up the clip of Dr. Ava and then hear what she has to say about the significance of dreams. And then we'll see if we can connect that with what we just discussed. And then after that, we'll go through the first ayat, based on what I was blessed to read last night. So
I was just looking for that clip so I could send it to you, but you have it already.
I think I have it, but if you have it, that's fine. I'm gonna try to find it real quick.
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. There you go.
When you go to sleep, your brain starts collating and it sorts out all of the recorded photographs that your eyes picked up, and it assigns interpretation. And this is why our dreams sometimes are strange. The components are real, but they don't seem to fit. You know, like in one scene, you're in one place, and suddenly in the blink of an eye, you're transferred somewhere else. And strange people, like you may know this person from high school and they're in the dream, and another person that you know at this point in life and they're in the dream. Well, all of these are stored memories that the brain is trying to sort out to clear itself of madness. And in the course of this, however, if you are doing right, God is actually using your own stored memories to send you coded messages. And sometimes he will show you something that is not only for you, but it's for all of us. You see, don't ever think you're not the person. You can't tell God who to pick. There, as you've heard the minister say, people 3 years old have had dreams about the minister that were taken down by the parent and were of value to him. So I don't want to sound like one of these behavioral therapists or something, but one thing that the devil said is true that we should do until we learn how to really take hold of our mind. Put a pad by your bed if you don't remember your dreams. If you don't remember your dreams, put a notepad by your bed, and when you wake up, write down. Because what God would like for you to do is to seek understanding through prayer of what he said to you in the dream. That's what he uses the dream. He deliberately is not going to give you per verbatim what he's going to do. Now, if you see something as it is, that's not a dream. What is that? That's a vision. When he shows you an unfolded reality as is, then you are really dealing. Because he's not just talking to you in code. He feels you have enough spiritual depth that he can literally display to you the reality. Then it
Okay, what in the hell is it?
when you go to sleep, your brain starts.
Stupid YouTube videos. All right. So, was that relevant?
It's definitely relevant, Brother Luke.
Yes, sir.
And when I was listening to it over the weekend, well, the first time I listened to it, it brought back to mind a dream I'd had probably a couple of years ago now, which was so silly, it didn't make any sense at all. And it was two particular animals in the dream, one chasing the other. And when I listened to her video just recently, I automatically thought of looking up to see what was the one that was being chased, what was its natural predator. And the natural predator was the animal that was in the dream that was chasing it, which I hadn't looked that up before. So that gave more depth and meaning to the dream. I don't dream, or should I say, I don't remember, when I wake up, I don't remember that I dreamed. Very rarely do I remember that I dreamed. But when I do, I know that it's significant and has, meaning. And I've learned too that it's not necessarily, if I put myself in it as being, this is a message for me, I've learned that that's not always the case. Sometimes it's a message for somebody else. And then the meaning of the dream doesn't always unfold right away. I have to go, sometimes wait for certain events to occur. And then it becomes more clear of what it means. Or like Sister Ava is saying, you have to go and pray and do some research and you'll find answers there. So to me, it definitely has relevance.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone
Can I
else?
say something?
Oh, of course, brother.
Sometimes during the day, we so active in doing this and doing that. By the time we go to bed at night, we are exhausted. And sometimes when we go to bed exhausted, when we wake up, we can't remember our dreams because the prana in our system is low. It is good for us to, at night before you go to rest, to do some deep breathing exercise to store prana into your brain cells so that you could recall some of the dreams that you may have during that night. So that's a habit that we should get into before you go to bed. Do some deep breathing exercise to store enough prana so that you can pick up your dreams if you have them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Praise God.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for that, because I was asking myself the same questions. I used to dream a lot more when I was in California, and I would always remember them more too. But since I moved to Philadelphia 16 years, it's very rarely do I wake up remembering anything. All I know is that when I wake up, I knew I was traveling very far. And sometimes the coming back in seems a little exhausted because I would wake up and go, dang, I went really far this time. I was so far away. It took me, a lot to get back. But I don't remember what the experience that I had when I was gone.
Well, try pranayama, which is breathing exercise before you
yes,
go to.
Yes, sir. Thank you for mentioning that. That's just a reminder, because I know I should be doing that more often. Thank you so much.
Praise be to Allah.
What if you see yourself, Brother Lukman? What if you see yourself flying, like, and you look down, you see the sand on the beach, and you look out, you see the ocean, but like you're flying?
Whenever I've had that experience, that has been when I've had what you call a lucid dream. And a lucid dream is when you're actually in the state of sleep, but you become consciously aware that you're asleep. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I remember when I was younger, I used to be able to do it more so. And one of the first things you want to do is you want to fly around. I don't know what it is about flying around, but it's just, it's exhilarating feeling that you can run off the top of a building and just fly and look down. It's like a type of freedom where you're not being held down by the earth.
Yep. It's the natural state of the soul.
It's right. And the science behind that, There's a doctor. His last name is LaBerge. I think it is L-A. I think it's Labarge. I think it was around the late 70s, early 80s. He was doing a lot of research on lucid dreaming. And what they have discovered is brain frequency has 5 different levels. Okay, so for example, you have beta, then you have alpha, and then you have theta. As you're going to sleep, you're going through these brain frequencies. And the way I remember that is the word BAT, B-A-T. It's beta, alpha, and then theta. So now you have the word BAT. Now below that, you have D, which is delta. And then above B, you have G, which is gamma. And the reason why I remember G is above is G represents God, okay? So what happens is when we're fully awake, like right now, I think this is like beta. We're in beta. Then as we relax and kind of cool, chill out a little bit, we drop down to alpha, and then you drop down to theta, okay? Pranayama and meditation, that's what you're doing. You're dropping the frequencies down. From my understanding, delta is when we're in a state of sleep, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. What they have discovered is they have taken individuals, and the way Dr. LaBerge was doing his research is he said that because he had the ability, he I guess he practiced it so much, he was able to just do it constantly. He would send because I guess they would put those sensors on his head. And he said, I'm going to send you a coded message. Just watch the movement of my eyes so that it's not just, it's easy for someone to say, yeah, I was conscious. Okay, well, we can't prove it. So he would send a coded message. He says, when I'm in the lucid dream, I'm going to move my eyes right to left 3 times. And as they're monitoring his brain waves and watching his eye movements, that was his way, because based on all the stuff was hooked up, his body was asleep. But there were certain frequencies of his brain that were proving that he was consciously awake. So the body's asleep, but he's aware, he's awake. And by sending those signals, he was letting the individuals on the outside know, I'm asleep, but I'm awake. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So now what happens is when you get into this area of lucid dreaming, this opens up a whole nother reality. There's the first phase is you got to get past the fear of that sleep paralysis. Okay, the witch riding your back, right? That's we always call it the witch. Down south they call it the witch riding your back. You've heard that before, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, the witch riding your back is sleep paralysis. Is when it usually happens early in the morning. Usually, I mean, it can happen at any time, but for me, it happens like between 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning. Your body has sleep paralysis so that you won't act out your dreams while you're sleeping. So if you're running in the dream, you won't be actually running in the bed. Does that make sense? So your body actually has a chemistry that causes your body to be paralyzed, except for your breathing while you sleep. If you happen to wake up when this happens, part of you is in a dream state and then part of you is awake, and that's why people hallucinate. They'll see
Sleepwalking.
Sleepwalking is a little different.
A little different. Oh, okay.
Yeah, sleepwalking is a little different. Okay. But in the sleep paralysis, if you wake up at that time, it's like you're stuck in between dream state and awake state. So whatever your fears are, you're actually pulling those images into your own mind. So some people, they see real weird, crazy stuff. So a person that might be afraid of spiders might see a giant spider walking in the room, or a person that looks like a spider. that is our own fears being brought into reality because we're kind of in between two phases. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead, Sister Patricia.
Yes, sir. So the other day, maybe 3 days ago,
Mhm.
I'm in North Carolina, and I'm just traveling. I haven't moved any of my things, but I usually wake up around 3 a.m. every morning. So I got up and I did some studying, and a couple hours later, I laid back down and I went back to sleep.
Mhm.
But I was dreaming, I guess, I don't know, but I was startled awake because I was walking through my house in Tuskegee, and I went into the sewing room, and all of my sewing machines were gone. I felt my heart jump and I woke up.
Wow.
So I don't know what that was. I even called Sister Dora and asked her, did she move around the sewing machine? And she
Mhm.
said no.
Uh-huh.
But it really scared me.
Mhm.
It really scared me. So I don't know what that was really.
Well, here's the thing. The sleep paralysis is like a doorway. And this is just based on, I mean, I'm no expert in this, but this is just based on what I've experienced. The sleep paralysis is a doorway to either a lucid dream or an out-of-body experience. Okay. So with the lucid dream, what takes place is, and I tell people all the time, at least for me, what works, it usually works about 90% of the time. If I get up for tahajjud, do the rak'ahs, lay back down. Normally what happens is I'll doze off, I'll wake up for a split second. And what I've learned through practice is when you wake up, don't move. Don't move a muscle, don't move a finger, don't move your body at all. Do not move, just relax. And what happens is, as you relax, your body will actually go back to sleep, but your mind will stay awake. So what happens is you will phase into a dream state, but you'll be fully conscious and aware of everything in the dream state. So once you get past the fear, okay, because you feel like someone's in the room, something's on you, pressing you down into the bed, okay? So it feels weird. There's nothing to be fearful of, okay? Once you get past that fear, and then you experience what they call a lucid dream, the more you practice it, what will take place is there's characters that will appear in your dream, right? This is like regular people, correct? You can begin to actually ask questions and get responses. The responses are almost like encoded. On some levels, they may not make any sense. So then if you can make a mental note of that, when you wake up, write it down. And then now you have to figure out, well, what does that mean? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On the other hand, the out-of-body experience is when you actually will feel yourself. Now I'm speaking in the language of the tech. The thetan will feel the detachment from the physical body. And the first time you feel it, it feels really strange. Okay, it feels weird. However, when you get to the point of experiencing a lucid dream or out-of-body experience, it is one of the most beautiful experiences, and this is just my personal opinion, out of all the things in life I've experienced. It is the most incredible experience you ever want to experience. It's like imagine having no fear, no pain, no anger, no apathy, no grief, no hostility. You're just experiencing pure bliss. It's a tone 40 experience. I'll say it like that. Because remember, apathy, grief, emotions, anger, those are all tied to the physical body, right?
Mhm.
Okay, well, if you're outside this physical body, then you're not going to have that. That's in the physical body, right?
Yes.
Okay. When you distill water, the water converts to a vapor and rises and leaves the sediment behind. Yes, in the pot. But sometimes when you forget you have water in the pot, you come back,
Mhm.
you see all the sediment. The water
Yes.
has risen and gone away. The sediment is in the pot, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Think of the pot as the mesh body. think of the sediment as the emotion, but the spirit is no longer there. Does that make sense?
Yes,
The
sir.
spirit left, the water left and didn't take none of that with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the demo kit. That's the demo kit for experiencing lucid dreaming or out-of-body experiences. And I don't know how we got into this, but I guess it was tied to what Dr. Ava was saying. And for those that may not have heard, no, I think everyone was here. So now if we're recounting our dreams and we go back over the dreams over and over and over again, more data is coming to the surface. We're auditing our dreams. Our dream persona is the pre-clear. We're auditing our dream.
Mm.
And then now what happens is that dream becomes refiled in standard memory. But if that dream is a communication from Allah and now it's refiled in standard memory, now it's something that we have not forgotten. So what happens to us if we're accumulating these communications from Allah, and not only accumulating these communications, but we understand what they mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're in direct contact with the supreme being of the universe. He's talking to us in the language of formulae, and we're taking the time now. We're using the tech as a tool, as a supplement to understand the communications. So now what effect will that have on our thinking? We begin to think like Allah.
Good point.
It's just something to
That's
think about.
humongous.
Just something to think about. So, all right, family. Any other questions on that?
Yeah, let me just share this.
Go ahead, brother.
You know, I have quite a few notebooks like this over the years. I have books called Dreams, and I record my dreams. Sometimes you'll have a dream that you may not understand, but months or years later, you can go back and read that dream and it'll become more clearer to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in 1972, and Sister Mother Tanetta Muhammad, she talks about it, may Allah be pleased with her. She says, he says, some of my followers in the future will be able to travel into the past as well as into the future. Sometimes we can have dreams that the reality of that dream may not manifest itself until months or years later. But it's good for us to record our dreams, even if we don't understand it. And then go back and then you'll see things in it. You say, wow, our dreams is telling us a story about ourselves and our mission.
Mm.
I just wanted to share that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Most definitely. Anyone else?
That was profound.
Yeah. We've all, how many of us have experienced this? You go and you buy it, you know, from like me. I'm a bookaholic. Okay. I love books. But there have been times I have bought a book. I'll go to bookstore, a book, I'll vibe with that book. It's like, okay, I gotta have this. I'll try to read it, and it's like I can't get into it. I put it on the bookshelf.
Yeah.
That book might sit there for a year. And then one
Mhm.
day I'm looking, I pick it up and I read it, and I totally just vibe with that. Sometimes, so sometimes the book, the way I'm understanding it, this is just my own opinion. That book is meant for me, but it's not meant for me at this point in time.
Right.
Yes.
There's something about the frequency of my thinking. I have to go through certain circumstances and situations that will raise my maybe raise my intellect, raise my frequency. I don't know, raise my mind to a certain point that now this book will become relevant. But let me grab the book now, so when it's time and I need it a year from now, it's already on the shelf now. And I've gone and picked up books, and I'm like, oh, there's one book in particular. If you don't have this book in your library, you got to get it. It's called The Temple in Man by Schwaller D. Lubitz. The first time I picked this book up, I was like, this book ain't nothing. And this was back when it was the first bookstore I opened. This was back in 98. I picked up this book. I was like, I put it back on the shelf. I picked it up like 3 months later, and I could not put that book down. So it's called The Temple in Man, Schwaller D. Lubitz. It's an incredible book on the relationship between symbolism of the temples in ancient Kemet and to the anatomy of the physical body and its relationship to mathematics. And I mean,
Oh, snap.
that's just my thing. I love that. I picked that book up, and
Definitely
I'm
have
not
to get that.
mentioning it. I'm gonna go probably read it again in a new unit of time, because if we go back to the beginning, go over it again, and we're gonna pick up additional data in these books, right?
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yes, sir.
All right.
Similar like the Holy Qur'an, you can pick up the Holy Qur'an and read something that you never read before, but you know you read it.
Yeah.
You'll pick it up and say, "Oh man, wow!" But you pick up information that you know you read, but you didn't pick it up and understood it like you're getting it right now.
I know we've all experienced this during Ramadan. It's like, wait a minute, did someone just put a new verse in my Holy Quran?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Did someone come and slip a new ayat? I don't remember. I've read this Holy Quran how many times now? How many Ramadans?
Right.
How did I miss that? No, it's understand, and this is just my understanding. The ayats are like frequencies. They're formula.
Mm.
And
Oh,
as the
yeah.
frequency of our thinking changes, we vibe different with different ayats.
That's right.
So think, how can I put this? If you ever get into the study of the science of frequency, like string theory, vibrations in the universe, gravitational waves, things like
Yes.
that, understand that the Holy Quran is a collection of thoughts from the creator of the universe, yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So an ayat is not just a group of words written on a book.
Mhm.
No, they're not.
That ayat is this kind of like the same as a solar cell. It has a solar cell stores energy for later use, right?
Mm.
That ayat represents stored information.
Mhm.
And depending upon our ability to extract determines how much energy we can extract from that ayat. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Mm.
Okay. And we're going to prove it. We're going to prove it by going through this first ayat. If we can get to the second one, that's fine. But this is just a preview, inshallah, of what we're going to be doing on Sunday. Hopefully by Sunday, I'll have all this on a PowerPoint, and we'll go a little bit deeper into it. So here's the exercise for today. Make sure you got a pen and a pad handy, scrap paper. Book one if you have it, but if you don't have it, don't worry about it. Quran and a good dictionary. I was going to add something else to this, but I'll do this at a later time. Both the Bible and the Holy Quran talk about being able to prove certain things, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then in our lessons, in our Supreme Wisdom, rule number 3, it says that we have to be able to prove to the new converts, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to prove to the new converts.
Yes.
Okay. It says, what is meant by the laborious answers to all lessons in the past, present, and future being perfect is that we must know and be able to prove at all times to the new converts that the lessons that our Savior Allah gave us to study and learn is the fulfillment of the prophecies of all the former prophets. Now, watch this. Combining supreme wisdom with supreme technology. We know, let me write this down. Sister Patricia, remind me afterwards to ask about Sister Naira's interview.
Okay, yes, sir.
Remind me,
yeah.
because if you have not heard that, you got to hear it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So let's go back into this. So now, if Brother Hubbard studied the ancient wisdom of in his words, the Asiatics, okay, that's Creation of Human Ability, I want to say page 497. He said the source of all his data was from the Asiatics. Did he not say that?
Yes, sir.
And we know who was the original man. Well, that's the Asiatic black man, making the owner of the cream of the planet, God of the universe. So the tech, we are the source of the tech, right?
That's right.
He gets the credit that he deserves for the work that he has done and the work that he is doing. Okay, because his mind is still present, correct?
Right.
Okay. So if he extracted and he put that ancient wisdom in the fine language that he knew, right?
Mhm.
He said in his own words, he said it in the Unification Congress, and I think he also said it in the Phoenix Lectures. He said that he either said Scientology or Dianetics is the marriage or the union between nuclear physics and religion. Our teaching is based on astronomy, correct?
That's right.
We've all heard that before, right? Our lessons, our teaching is based on astronomy.
Yes, sir.
Has anyone not heard that?
Mother Tenette goes into that.
Okay. So we have a mathematical theology, and technically Scientology is a nuclear physics theology. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Now,
Yes,
with
sir.
that thought in mind, if our lessons is the fulfillment of all the prophecies of all the former prophets, well, all the former prophets represent all the former religions and the prophets through whom they were revealed, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if Brother Hubbard studied the ancient texts, the ancient philosophies of the original peoples, and we're told that our lessons is the fulfillment of those ancient philosophies, ancient scriptures, and those ancient prophets, then would not there be a relationship between the supreme wisdom and supreme technology where there's something that the Savior gave us that is to bring the tech to the next level?
Mm.
Does that sound like it makes sense?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So there's something that the Church of Scientology has that we need, and there's something that we have that they need.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'll probably do this perhaps next Wednesday, God willing, to actually show the process of how to prove something. It's a mathematical process of how to prove something. And then the more you practice it, the more you learn it, you can make this applicable to anything that you study. Okay. It's the process of how to prove something. So, a person that just talks off the top of the head, you're able to pinpoint weaknesses or errors in their reasoning and their logic. And then you can pinpoint certain things and show that, no, that doesn't flow because, and then you'll know the different elements or aspects of how to prove something. Bible says, study to show thyself approved, a workman not ashamed, rightly dividing the word of God. Okay. Then it says in, I think it's Thessalonians 5:21, prove all things and hold fast to that which is good. Okay.
That's right.
There's a process to how to prove something. If you watch Dr. Wesley, he's using these principles. He's really, at least in my humble opinion, he's methodically carving up people's arguments through the science of logic. That's just how I perceive it. Okay. And that's why he doesn't lose an argument. He's using a mathematical mind with regards to proof. Okay. Now, that being said, the first ayat, what we're going to do, we're going to present the ayat. I have two translations I'm going to use. I'm going to use the Maulana Muhammad Ali translation as well as the Yusuf Ali translation. You don't have to have both. And then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at this ayat and we're just going to get a feel of what comes to mind as we read it. What comes to mind as we read it. And then what we can do is write down your thoughts, write down your cognitions. Okay. Write down if anything comes up on your time track. Okay. Write the information down. We're going to break down this ayat into a cycle of action. So we're going to break it down into 5 parts, and we're going to hit each part individually. And as we hit each part individually, we're going to pose the question again. How do you see this ayat? What do you see in this part? And so what we're going to do is we're going to gather everyone's cognitions in a fine mist that the naked eye can hardly detect. And we're going to see what will accumulate. And I believe the Zoom meeting will become heavy enough where some wisdom will distill back. And I don't think it's going to be in the form of ice. I think it's going to be in the form of water. And then something is going to grow. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes, sir. Inshallah.
Because even our lessons, if we understand them, they're not just words on a piece of paper. These are frequencies of thought directly from the mind of the Savior. Does that make sense? And if we can understand the lesson, that's why memorization is so important. That way, no matter where you go, you can take your supreme wisdom with you. So if you're sitting in the traffic and you're stuck in traffic for an hour, you don't have anything, why isn't the devil selling the best part of the planet Earth? Oh, okay. Because the earth belongs to the original black man. You're reading your wisdom as you're stuck in traffic. I know for me, if I'm stuck in traffic, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm stuck here for the next hour. Praise due to Allah. I get to sit still for a minute. So let me just chew on one of my lessons. Okay. And what you will notice is when you go back every time you go back to the beginning and go over it again, if you're picking up additional data, where did that data come from? Since the words in the supreme wisdom have not changed.
Good
Is
point.
that wisdom recorded? Are those responses recorded in your own genetic line? Is it in your DNA? Where is it recorded at? Where did it come from? Last point. And I think it's a history of man. The way he explains it in A History of Man is that you have the Thetan, which is the self, and you have the mess body, correct? There's information recorded in the mess body. That's the genetic information that represents generational information, correct? So some of the things that our mother and father suffered from, we inherited that. Okay. So some of the things we do is not based on our own stuff. This is stuff that's been passed down. Okay. So the mess body records information, but the Thetan records information. And based on how he explained it in A History of Man, that when an individual dies, the physical body goes back to the earth, the Thetan continues on and brings with it all the things that it learned. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Think
It
of it
makes
like
sense.
this.
I didn't know that though.
Oh, yeah.
So look at it like this. Let's say at one time you worked at McDonald's. You had your McDonald's uniform, right? You learned all the information about the food industry with McDonald's. Then you have an opportunity. Someone said, you have enough information where, we want to hire you over at this restaurant. We want to bring us as a manager. So now you took off the McDonald's outfit, mess body. You took and put on a new outfit, the restaurant. So you have a new garment, but you brought with you all the information you learned from McDonald's, right? Okay. So what if? Because there is another video where Dr. Ava says that we are 78 trillion years old, right? Didn't she say that?
Yes.
Okay. So that means, is it possible we have worn many uniforms over many lifetimes? Possibly. So we have all this data that has been accumulated, but we went through slavery and it was shut down. It had to be shut down so that another person can rule. But if we all had access to 76 trillion years of data, who would that make us? I'm hearing crickets. I don't hear anything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Haven't we been taught that the Savior went back into the mind of the first God?
Yes, sir.
What would happen if we all had that ability? Just a thought. So now with the tech, what's happening is we're given the ability to go back on our time track, fill in those gaps, and find all that missing data. What's happening? In the words of Dune, if you haven't seen the movie Dune, then you won't understand this, but the sleeper is awakening.
The sleeper must awaken. Yes.
Yeah, well, no, the sleeper is awakening.
Yeah.
And
I mean, in the movie,
why,
she said the sleeper must awaken.
say what?
In the movie, she said the sleeper must awaken at that moment in the movie, but we are awakening.
So in the, they didn't do it in the new version, but in the version from 84, there was one scene where he says the sleeper must awaken.
Correct.
And then when he drank the water of Shai Hulud, he said the sleeper has awakened.
Yes, that's right.
And that's when he started tearing everything up.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why social media is the way it is. They're trying to keep the sleeper asleep. The minister, by giving us the tech, is trying to wake up the sleeper.
Yes, sir.
His goal is to give us what's needed to wake up. Can you imagine if everyone was a Farrakhan? They would probably have to do, again, this is just my opinion, they would probably have to do to him, which is actually what they plan on doing, the same thing they did with Yaqub. Gather him and all his people and allow y'all to live someplace else off to yourself, right? Didn't they incarcerate Yaqub and his people?
Right. Yes.
Okay. So it might be something that might happen again. Who knows?
Who knows? Brother Lukman. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm so sorry. That just
no,
you talking about having
if you're having a hallelujah moment, then go ahead, Sister Sultana.
You talking about having a cognition moment, like it just brought back, oh my goodness. It brought back, now I believe I was awake when this happened. I was sitting on my sofa. Yeah, I was sitting on the sofa. In this particular apartment I lived in, I had a lot of these little things that happened to me where I would just be sitting still doing nothing, and then all of a sudden, boom, visions and things happen. But this one was, I was standing in the kitchen. I had a little 2-year-old boy next to me. Someone knocked on the door. They knocked on the door and I opened it. And there were 3 men standing in all white. They were very dark, like they were black, very dark, all white. And they just said, sister, it's time to go. We got to go now. I said, where we going? We got to go. They're coming to take anybody who's Muslim and put them in a concentration camp. And we have to go to the underground city. We come to get you, to take you to the underground. Your husband sent us to come to get you, take you to the underground city. And I said, well, where is he? He said, he's there because he's managing things. He's there, but you have to go with us now. We need to go now. That's what he's saying. The government has put out like an APB on Muslim, and they're coming to your door and they will snatch you out your house. You have to come now. And then when it was real, I mean, I was there. It was me standing there experiencing that. Literally, I felt like I was literally standing there experiencing that. And then I came to myself. I'm sitting on the sofa. Wait a minute. I'm sitting on the sofa. What just happened?
Wow.
Oh, Bob. When you said that, it's gonna be something. They will go to that level where they want to come and say, for national security reasons, you got to go. Yeah.
Well, let's dive into history for just a split second. Didn't they round up believers when World War II hit?
Did they?
Didn't they incarcerate the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Oh, that's true.
Right?
That's
Remember
true.
Brother Jabril
was
talking about how I've heard him speak about how he had this, if I remember correctly, he had the Supreme Wisdom lessons memorized. And he said while he was in solitary confinement, he said he could hear other people in solitary confinement, and I'm paraphrasing it. He said he could hear them losing it. Now, if you don't know anything about solitary confinement, then you don't understand it. But solitary confinement is
being in your bed.
You are existing in it is a demo kit for an engram. It's a 3D representation of the reactive mind. Okay. And he said that the only book they gave him was the Bible. And his words were, the only book I had was my Bible. He says, I was in my heaven. So here's a man who's in solitary confinement, but because he had the Supreme Wisdom lessons on CAP, and they gave him a Bible. Now, we all know Brother Jabril as, I can't use the word scholar because he was above that.
Scientist.
Angel.
You have to, angel and scientist.
Yes, sir.
But now, so that means his time in solitary confinement was preparing him for the day to do a specific work. So that teaches us that sometimes the hell that we're going through is not a punishment, it's a preparation for an assignment.
Good point. Good point.
Yes, sir.
Our hell is a preparation for an assignment.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then if we understand that Allah is not doing something against us, he's preparing us for a greater assignment.
Yes, sir.
Because you could take an individual that has learned about drug abuse, and then you can have a person that has been there and done that. And the one that has been to hell because they were hooked on heroin, they have a better effect on someone who's trying to kick the habit, because the one that just got a certificate is talking based on that's half knowledge. You haven't been to hell. But when a person is trying to kick the habit, they can listen to an individual and they can tell if you use their knowledge. Makes sense? So it reminded me of that story, Brother Salam, when you were in Dubai.
Yes, sir.
You want to share that real quick?
Oh boy, you always bring that. Yes, I had an experience where I was in Dubai. No, not Dubai. I was in Senegal.
Okay.
I was in Senegal, and I was in a hotel with a balcony at night, late at night, and I just got off the plane, and I was exhausted. So when I got to the hotel, I put the TV on, and I'm looking at TV, and I'm falling to rest. I feel myself falling to rest. All of a sudden, somebody cut the TV off. I have the remote right next to me, but it seemed like somebody cut it off. It wasn't me. I jumped up and I turned around. It seemed like there was a person in my room. I could see the silhouette of the person walking to the bathroom. In my mind, oh my God, I got to rumble. I got to fight. Somebody's in my room. So I was cautious.
It's time to get busy.
Yeah, I was cautious. I'm walking towards the bathroom with the intentions to fight, because I'd seen him walk in the room. And when I got to the bathroom, there was nobody in there. It blew my mind. Actually,
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
until the day I wonder, was they angels following me? Just let me know that I'm being protected.
Wow.
Brother, you about to get in a fight with an angel? Is that what you're telling me?
I didn't know what it was. I knew somebody was in my room because I didn't cut the TV off. It was right by my side. And when the TV cut off, I jumped up. I said, who the hell who cut the TV off? And I saw somebody walking to the bathroom. I just knew I was going to rumble.
Let's get ready to rumble.
I slowly walked to the bathroom with the intention that I'm going to fight. And when I walked in, a person was gone.
Wow.
That was in Senegal.
Okay.
I can understand.
All right.
Wow.
So, okay, so now let's get into the ayat. Let's see. So this is what I was reading last night. Mother Tanetta Muhammad divided the Holy Qur'an up into 7 parts. That way you can read the Holy Qur'an in a week.
7 days.
In 7 days. And if I remember correctly, day 1, you read, of course, you read Surah Al-Fatiha, okay? But this is based on odd numbers, okay? You read three surahs on Sunday, Surah 2 through 4. You read 5 surahs on Monday. That would be surahs 5 through 9. Then on Tuesday, you read 7, which is 10 through 16. Wednesday, you read 9, which is 17 through 25. Thursday, wait, 9. So then there's 11.
26.
So it's under, so then it goes 26 to 36,
Mhm.
and then 37 to 49. And then on Saturday, you read Surah 50 through 114. That's divided the Holy Qur'an into 7 parts. So last night I'm going through Sarato Bani Israel, the Israelites, Surah 17. I have yet to do this Quran in 1 week. I've never done it. I'm good on one day, and then it's just I gotta find a way to get into the habit. But as I'm reading it, I came across these 3 ayats that kind of, I mean, a lot of the ayats stood out, but these 3 really stood out. And I said, well, I'll share this with the believers and see what they see. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Jocelyn. How you doing?
Walaikum salam, Brother Lookman. I was busy with my granddaughter and forgot about, I was like really, really wanting to be on this morning because of what we are the overwhelming, or I don't know, it was just so much that we learned the last Zoom with Brother
Brother
Scott.
Scott.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
it was so much to process. And I said, I got to be on because I had questions for you, because I said, I felt like you would receive it or understood, what they were saying more than most of us that were on.
Yes.
And then Sister Naya just texted me. I said, oh my God, I forgot. Anyway, I'm just happy that she caught me before you
Start.
released everybody.
So if you have any questions about that meeting, we'll be happy to address them. But as soon as we're done with this Zoom meeting, being that you've already missed part of it, that's not a problem. I'm going to post this on the YouTube channel. That way you'll be able to see.
Okay, thank you. And forgive me, family, for that
We've actually hit
interjection.
some jewels already. We haven't even gotten to the meat of the conversation yet. But I'll
Oh,
post.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I apologize for
Oh,
that.
no, you came exactly when you were supposed to.
Okay, yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Thank you, family.
We're just eating the appetizers. We're getting ready.
Yeah, that was the first couple of courses. Now we're about to get to the meal. Okay. So we might get all 3 ayats today. If not, again, this is a preview, inshallah, what we're going to cover on Sunday. This is all going to be part of a PowerPoint, so you'll be able to see everything that we have. So if you have your Quran, go to Surah 17, ayat number 68. Okay. Who would like to be our reader? I kind of knew you can put your hand up. So if you would read ayat number 68. And now here's what I want us to do. Have some paper, have a pen or pencil, whatever. As we're doing this, I want us to get into the habit of writing down our cognitions. Write down what it is that comes to your mind as we go over this. After she reads Surah 17, ayat 68, we're going to throw some questions out there just to kind of get a feel of where our mind is at the moment. Okay. In the medical field, this is kind of like where they take what's called a baseline set of vitals. So let me get your blood pressure, let me get your pulse ox, put the thing on your finger, let me check your respirations, and then we're going to apply some therapy, and then we do the vitals again to see if your pulse came down, if your blood pressure came down. So this is going to be like a baseline. We're going to read the ayat, write down your thoughts, and then as we're going through, we're going to break this ayat down into a cycle of action, and then write down your thoughts as we go through it. And then at the end of the ayat, when we're summarizing it, write down everything that came to your mind or what you learned as a result. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm
Sister
sorry, go ahead.
Patricia, verse 68.
Well, before I read, I
Go
need
ahead.
to say something.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
before I came here to North Carolina, I divided my Quran up in 7 parts to read it in a week. I haven't quite done it yet,
Uh-huh.
but I have it separate. And I don't think it's the way that Mother Tynetta did it because the sister had put it on Facebook and I just went through and did it the way she did it.
Mhm.
And also this week, I kissed the front, the side, and the back and put it to my head and said a prayer. And I turned to Surah 17, the Israelites. So I just wanted to share that.
Oh, wow. It's a
But it's not this ayat though, but I'm going to read it now.
okay.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Do you then feel secure that he will not bring you low on a tract of land or send on you a violent wind? Then you will not find a protector for yourselves.
Okay, right there.
Woo.
Now, short and sweet, right?
Yes.
Now, remember, if you go to Closing the Gap, I want to say page 19. I want to say page 19. On that page, it says that the Savior used to teach the early believers, as you teach children, you will teach them through pictures, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And it said that the picture is not the truth, but the truth is contained in the picture. And the more you dig into the picture, the more truth will come out, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me pull that up so we can deal with the actual fact. Let's actually get it verbatim. Closing the gap.
I got it right here.
Oh, it's okay. I just want to have it in front of me as well, but let me get this specific. Like Dr. Wesley says, we want to have our receipts, correct?
And you said that's page 19?
Page 19. Brother Salam, do you want to read that first paragraph where it says Minister Farrakhan?
Yes, sir. Minister Farrakhan. Now let's look at the quality of the persons with whom the master first dealt. What was their condition? They were totally in the dark. They were a very ignorant people. Master Fard Muhammad, to whom praise are due forever, taught them in a language that was the way you teach babies. You teach babies using words that conjure up pictures. The picture is not the truth, but the truth is contained in the picture. But as long as the picture remains in the brain, as you mature in understanding, then you can reach into the picture and extract the principle of truth that lies therein.
Okay. Can we say, because every time you look into the picture, you're going to extract more truth, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, isn't that the same as go back to the beginning, go over it again, and pick up the additional data you can contact?
Yes,
Definitely.
It's the same principle in the tech that's in Closing the Gap, based on the words of the minister.
Come on.
He might not have said, go back to the beginning, go over it again,
Right.
and pick whatever additional data. But remember, again, follow me on this. And you've heard this 1,000 times, but this is for individuals that may watch the YouTube video and that have never heard this before. If I say X plus 5 equals 7, then X equals what?
2.
2. If I say Y plus 6 equals 8, then Y equals what?
2.
2.
Could I say Y plus 5 equals 7?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Could I say X plus 6 equals 8?
Yes.
Yes.
Because X and Y are actually equal, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
But the letter X is not the same as the letter Y, right?
Right.
That teaches us a very valuable lesson that outwardly, quantitatively, things may appear to be different, but the unseen aspect of what we're looking at can be the same. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mm.
So things might appear different outwardly on the surface. But if we take the time to go behind the creation and we go study what the Holy Qur'an calls al-ghaib, the unseen.
Mm.
Okay. It's in the Holy Qur'an to have the belief in the unseen. The unseen in Arabic is al-ghaib.
Mm.
If we study the unseen aspects of the universe, we will see that everyone that is speaking truth is really saying the same thing.
That's right.
They're just saying it differently. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So L. Ron Hubbard teaches, go back to the beginning, go over it again, pick up whatever additional data you can contact. The minister says the truth is contained in the picture, but as long as the picture remains in the brain, as you mature and understand it, you can reach into the picture and extract the principle. They're saying the same thing.
Yes, sir.
So now what we're going to do today, we're going to look at this ayat, and we're going to keep going through it. But we're going to look at this ayat as a cycle of action. Okay, a cycle of action. And then we're going to, because we understand Allah says some of the ayats are decisive and they are the foundational book, and some are allegorical, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And those in whom heart is perversity seek to take that which is allegorical and put their own interpretation on it. Well,
Mhm.
I don't think our hearts are perverse. And if you go along the lines of what the minister says, and I can't remember the page number, but he talks about being an intellectual coward, being afraid to dig into the word to find what Allah will show us.
Mhm.
Okay. So we're not doing this in an arrogant way. We're doing this to gain a better understanding of what we already have.
Yes, sir.
That makes sense?
Sir. Yes, sir.
So now, when it says, let me go back here. I'm going to pose the first question. Okay. Do you then feel secure that he will not bring you low on a tract of land or send on you a violent wind? Then you will not find a protector for yourself. Now, on a piece of paper, I want you to write the 4 aspects of the cycle of action. Start, growth, conservation, decay, and then death or stop. So you have start or birth, and then it's going to end with stop or death. But there's going to be 5 different parts to the cycle of action. Okay.
Say that.
Say it again.
So the cycle of action is start, growth, conservation, decay, and then stop. Everything in the universe operates under that. And the example that I always use based on the work that I'm in, you have what's called a fire cycle. And in a fire cycle, fire goes through these 5 different phases. So first, someone has to start the fire, right?
That's right.
Okay, that's called the incipient stage of the fire. That's the birth of the fire. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so as I'm describing this, picture this in your mind. I could throw the video up so you could see it, and I might just do that so you can actually see it. Because really, it only takes approximately 2.5 minutes for a fire to start and for it to engulf the whole room. Okay.
Mm.
So I'm gonna explain the cycle. I'm gonna pull up the video. We'll watch it. That way you have some mass to have along with the concept. That way you can kind of see the cycle of action as it happens. So then the fire grows. Once the fire gets to a certain point, then the room becomes fully involved. Okay, that's the third part, the conservation. Okay, in the fire science, that's called a fully involved fire. Now, either by the time we get there, we start to put the fire out. That's what's called decay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're beginning to extinguish the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then the death is the fire has been extinguished. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to see that as a demo real quick to add some mass to the concept, or do you want to just keep moving?
We
Math
understood.
is good.
Yeah.
Huh? Say again?
I said math is good.
Math is good? Okay. It only takes a split second. Let me.
Oh
All right,
no.
Sister Jaslyn, ask that question again.
Well, I'm looking forward to when you make it relevant to the aberration
Okay.
and how the aberration is trying to conserve itself and you know how it's protecting itself and what we have to do to overcome that.
Mhm. Okay, so what we just missed was your question was how can conservation be relevant with regards to a fire? And what we had said was that based on your understanding of the word conservation, that it didn't kind of make sense of the firefighter trying to preserve the fire. But your understanding of conservation was correct, but we just had to make it applicable to the right concept of the fire.
Yes, sir.
We said that the fire is trying to conserve and protect itself, correct?
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
that makes a lot of sense that when you talk about the fire and not the person trying to save lives, the fire is trying to keep going.
Mhm. So we could we not say that both are trying to conserve? The firefighter is trying to conserve the house. The fire is trying to conserve itself.
Yes.
We could say that also, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The two key points of firefighting is protection of life and protection of property. Okay. That's the two main things that we do. You know, life comes first, and then you're trying to do everything you can to protect the property of the individuals that live there. There's nothing worse, and I've never experienced this, but I've experienced it through other people, where you lose everything: pictures, money, clothing. You lose everything, and you're basically starting over from scratch all over again. Okay. So the conservation part of this cycle of action. Conservation means you have the preservation of something and the destruction of something that's taking place simultaneously. So the fire is preserving itself by consuming the material in the house, which we call fire load. And at the same token, the house or the property is being destroyed. So you have destruction and conservation or preservation occurring simultaneously. From the perspective of the firefighter, we're trying to conserve the property and destroy the fire. Okay, so that's the third part of the cycle of action. Conservation implies the destruction of one thing and the conservation of another at the same time. Remember, in Dianetics, he does mention, it's either Dianetics or Science of Survival, Brother Hubbard mentions that the key is survival, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And the reactive mind is trying to survive too. So the reactive mind is really consuming. Here's a good way of looking at it. If you look at the reactive mind, I saw your hand, Sister Denise, just give me 1 second. The reactive mind through the engram, and if we have psychosomatics and illnesses, isn't the reactive mind consuming the body?
That's
Yes,
right.
sir. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. The reactive mind is consuming the body through disease and sickness. So the reactive mind, even though eventually that body dies, the reactive mind will do everything it can to survive, which includes making the Thetan sick through the messed body, correct?
Yes, sir.
What's the
Yes,
auditor?
sir.
The auditor is a mental firefighter. They're trying to put the reactive mind out to conserve the body. Okay? That's why the principles of firefighting and the principles of auditing are equivalent. One on a physical level and the other one's on a mental level. An auditor is a mental firefighter.
Good point.
I got it, brother.
The minister called us
Thank you.
spiritual physicians.
Spiritual physicians. Okay. Sister
Yeah.
Denise, I saw your hand up.
Yes, sir. Because I was just thinking about that reactive mind as because both stages after it starts, it grows. Okay, but how far will it get if you don't have the auditor there to come in and break out, bust out some windows and whatever you have to do besides put the fire out?
Mhm.
And that's what I was thinking about, that rage of the reactive mind, and whatever is in its path. I don't care about your pictures. They going with everything else, you know. And the reactive mind, when she threw his guitar out the window, and it's like, what else can I, let you know that I'm losing it, because I'm letting go of myself. Oh my God, that's what I was thinking about as you all were talking about that. I said, man, that reactive mind must be having a ball.
Mhm.
When it goes from one stage and then it tries to hold, don't want you to touch that engram, and oh my God.
Mhm.
I was just thinking about the auditors, us trying to put that fire out, and they keep holding on to I got plenty matches,
Mhm.
like you got to get the book. So
Mhm.
just this one is not going to get it. Yes, sir. So and you went right into it. Thank you, beloved.
You're very welcome. And you mentioned a point of breaking windows, and here's what people don't understand about firefighting. People see us breaking windows and think we're just doing it just because we have fun breaking stuff. Now, on one level, we do have fun breaking stuff, but our breaking stuff is done based on on mathematical precision. We just don't go randomly breaking stuff, because the key is preservation of individuals' property. Okay.
Right.
But the science behind the breaking stuff, okay, the science behind it is this: as that room heats up and things start to burn, you saw how you had the layer of the smoke. That room becomes layered based on temperature gradients.
Mm-hmm.
And up near the ceiling, temperatures can reach up to 900 to 1,000 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And as you descend down to like head level, which is why you see firefighters, when we come in low.
Mm-hmm.
That room can be anywhere from 500 to 700 degrees by the time we get there.
Mm.
Okay. So what happens is, that upper part, when you saw the fire rippling across the ceiling,
Mm.
the gases that are released from things burning, the gases go up to the ceiling, and the fire keeps those gases ignited.
Mm.
The temperature increases, and then the smoke begins to descend down. You saw that, right?
Yes.
Okay. We break the window. By
So,
breaking the window, because remember, we got 2 minutes and 31 seconds.
mhm.
The truck company, because and you probably didn't know this, but there's a difference between a fire engine and a fire truck.
Yes.
Okay. The fire truck has that big ladder on top.
Correct.
The fire engine has hoses.
Mm.
Two different operations, but it's like a tag team. The
Mm-hmm.
truck company goes into the building, they search for victims or individuals trapped, and they look for the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they locate the fire, I'm an engine officer. They let me know the fire's on the second floor in the bedroom at the top of the stairs. So now I'm focused on the fire, they can search the rest of the house.
Mm.
But what they have done is, if they were able to get into that room, they might break the window in that room, because what happens is, if you break the window, the fire will follow air like an
Yes.
animal
The oxygen.
follows food. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yes.
So if you break a window, then the fire has a buffet. It can just sit right there. It won't move anywhere.
Mm.
If you break the window in the wrong place, the fire is
Mhm.
like, wait a minute, there's some food at the other end of the house.
Right.
The fire will flow. I'm telling you, the fire will flow. And if you remind me at the end, I'll show you another video. It's about a 2-minute video of an individual who made a mistake. He broke the window in the wrong place. And then you see what happens. Fire is
Yes.
like a living thing.
Yes.
It's just like the reactive mind.
Mm.
So then when you break the window, if the hot air goes out
Mm-hmm.
and the gases go out and the smoke goes out, what happens to the visibility? The visibility increases, right? I can see more.
Mm-hmm.
The heat is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, isn't that the same with removing charge?
Yes.
I can see better now. Oh, that's why I used to do this. It's because of what? Oh, now I see. Oh, now I.
Good
Mm-hmm.
point.
You actually just raised the tone of that room. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
And you've raised the tone of that firefighter. Okay. Okay. There's nothing worse. I'm telling you, it's nothing worse. Ooh, that's to be in a room, the hottest room, and I'll get off this, but when I get into my firefighter stories, I just fall. The hottest room I was in, and the reason why I remember this was we were in the academy, and there was a thermometer outside the room we had to go into. The thermometer read 1,178 degrees.
Wow.
And we had to go in there. And that's when you have to learn how to be in a room with fire and not to lose it.
Yeah.
You had to keep
Yeah.
control of your reactive mind
Mm.
Sure.
in the presence of fire. So now it's like a room's on fire. We just go into it like it's just what you do. You don't even think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it fearful? Hell to the yes,
Yeah.
it is. I'm not going to act like it's not.
Yeah.
You know, but there's a science and a method to what we do. Go ahead, Sister Jasmine.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I wasn't rushing you, Brother Lukeman.
No. Go ahead.
Okay,
I'll babble for the rest of the day. Go ahead.
as you were speaking, I was thinking about you know, when we're aberrated, and you were talking about if you hit the window in the wrong place, the fire flows. Well, if an auditor doesn't know what they're doing,
Yes.
they can make the situation worse and like, you know, re-stimulate
Mm-hmm.
on top of stimulation, and the person that is in need of help just walks away worse than when they were than before they even talked to the auditor. So
So the
I
fire
just
spread to a different location, right?
yes
That's
yes
why when you find that engram, whatever you find, you have to reduce that and don't go to something else. You got to reduce that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Perfect point. Thank you for that one. Sister Tina.
That's like what Brother Scott said on the call when the guy who ate raw meat,
Mm-hmm.
what he did to him. Brother Scott got sick. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. What Sister Jasmine said just brought that up to my mind. That was a good math, to what she said, what happened with Brother Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And this was an auditor that was going for his OT, right?
Right.
yes ma'am.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. Thank you, Sister Tina.
You need to leave that raw meat alone. What you think?
Yeah, exactly.
But he wasn't
And
auditing Brother Scott, was he?
Yes,
he,
he was one of
yeah,
the auditors.
Was one of the auditors, yeah.
yes,
But was he auditing him?
At the time.
yes.
No, not at the time he was eating the raw meat, but it's just the fact that,
No,
that could have been a restim for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
no. When the woman who started working with him, she saw that the auditor who was working with him missed something. Brother Scott said he missed something.
Oh no, you're right. You're right.
So it was during the auditing process.
Right, but the eating of the raw meat was, I think, during a lunch or something.
Right.
It wasn't
Right.
Yeah.
Not that re-stimulated him. I didn't get that out of what Brother Scott said. I got that when the other woman who knew what she was doing audited him, the other one who ate the raw meats missed something in the auditing process.
Right.
Yes ma'am, I remember that, Sister Tina.
So that goes along with vetting in the wrong spot, I think is what is you kind of connecting that with what Sister Jasmine just said, correct?
Yes.
Venting in the wrong spot. Well, let's do this real quick. Let's do this real quick. Let me pause this. Okay. Okay. So think of this as auditing. The engram is that room that's on fire, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you don't go randomly, willy-nilly breaking windows in the fire structure just because you can. This dude right here made a terrible mistake. As soon as he broke those windows, look what happened.
We can't see the video.
The fire went to the second floor, right?
We don't see the video.
Oh, you don't see the video?
No.
Oh. Let me go back. I thought I had, sorry. Oh, let me do that. Okay.
Yes, okay, we can see it now.
Okay. Right now, that fire is just in one spot, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It would stay in one spot if these windows weren't broken up here. But you notice, what does he do? He breaks the windows there in the top left, correct?
Yes.
You see how the fire automatically jumps up to the second floor?
We're not there yet. There it is. Okay. Now he's breaking the window. Yeah, now he's breaking the windows.
Which is what he shouldn't have done.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're going to see the fire shoot across the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a training video?
No, this is the actual fire building.
Do
you see how I shot across?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this right here is a good demo for auditing. When you find an engram, you stick with that engram and you reduce that. Don't crack one open and then go looking for another one. Does that make sense? Would that make sense, Sister Patricia?
Yes, sir. But I wanted to clear up something though.
Go ahead.
When, to my understanding from what Brother Scott was telling us, he was having lunch with the man who was eating the raw meat. So the man was not auditing Brother Scott.
Right.
So he wasn't looking for engrams.
No.
So when Brother Scott went to his auditing session with someone else, that came up. So it's not that the man eating the raw meat didn't catch the engram because he wasn't auditing him.
Yeah, and that's not. Yeah, that's not what I understood. What Brother Scott was saying, that he was getting his OT. The guy who eats the raw meat was getting his OT. So Brother Scott, he was auditing Brother Scott. This was before they went to lunch together. They didn't have affinity. Brother Scott didn't, wasn't feeling affinity. So he invited him to go to lunch.
Mm-hmm.
But the man, did audit him, and Brother Scott, he got sick after the lunch. But it wasn't the lunch that made him sick. The woman who decided to audit him after he got sick, she said that the guy who eats the raw meat missed something. He did not reduce something. Something was going on, if you remember that.
Yeah.
You remember that, Sister Jasmine?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay.
Yeah. So did you hear that part,
Sister Tina?
Patricia, did you hear that part?
I did, but I thought he was referring to something else.
Yeah.
And he didn't want him to audit him.
You're right.
What did you say?
He didn't want him to audit him anymore after the. It wasn't that he re-stimulated. It's just that visual, like Sister Tina said, there wasn't an infinity. He, like, I guess if someone eat raw meat, you can't audit me, basically.
Yeah, the woman said that he missed something in reducing something when he did audit him. He didn't reduce something. Like Brother Lukeman was saying with the fire, it wasn't reduced properly. Yeah, that's what I understood. That's why Brother Scott's story gave me such mass with the fire. Yeah. I hope there's a replay, because I would love to go back and listen to it again, of Brother Scott's that Zoom. Brother Lukeman, is there a replay that you know of?
He's on the phone.
I would as well too, because it was so much to absorb. It was just so
Yes.
much. You couldn't even get it all in that session. It was so much.
Yeah, and when I read in Science of Survival, auditors really, well, they have a big responsibility.
Oh yeah.
And they're code. They have to really be on code, stay on code, and they can't be below a certain level.
Yeah, you
on the
can't audit
tone
unless you're in a
scale.
certain tone.
Yeah, and because they can make someone worse.
I'm trying, Brother Scott, I'm gonna try to see if I can get him to jump on so we can get the stable datum on it.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the reason that I wanted to clear that up, because I didn't want people to think the auditor is going to mess them up, because L. Ron Hubbard said an open case is better than not opening a case.
Right,
So-
but in Science of Survival, he talks differently about the state of auditors, and when they audit someone, an auditor can mess a pre-clear up.
So we have what our assignment is going to be now.
What?
We got to go and
What, Brother Lukeman?
we got to get the actual facts on that.
Yes.
That's the
I'm going to
assignment.
find it in
That's not
Science
my
of
understanding,
Survival.
and I'm an auditor.
Okay, so that's
Yes, ma'am.
I do remember something about what happens if you make contact with an engram but you don't reduce it fully.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But and it's kind of like what happened to that house, right?
Mhm.
It spreads. But hopefully Brother Scott will get on. He's tied up at the moment, but he says he's going to try to get on, and then we can get the actual facts of what really happened.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Yes,
Brother
sir.
Lukeman.
No problem.
Yes, sir.
Is that it, Sister Tina?
Yes, sir. And I'm going to get actual facts from Science of Survival, because I just read that, regarding how auditors, he's, yes, sir.
Okay.
Praise be to Allah. It's a big responsibility. My hats go off to the auditors, because it's a big responsibility. I can straight wire and straight memory, but to put someone in reverie and go real deep, heavy, auditing, my hat goes off to those that do that.
There he is.
Alhamdulillah.
What's up, Unc?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
Walaikum salam.
I almost said
Walaikum
something to
salam.
you on this open line, Brother Lukeman.
So what we just did was we watched a demo of what happens when there's a fire in a building. And if you vent the building in the wrong spot, that fire will actually spread to a location where the fire wasn't, because you're doing firefighting wrong. And we compared that to when someone's auditing, if they find an engram, but they don't reduce it all the way and they leave some of it there, it can affect how a person is, because the engram is still active. Your situation came up with regards to the individual that was eating the raw meat, but there was something that took place where something was missed. Is that correct? It was based on what you discussed, I guess, on Sunday.
You know what? Give me a minute. I'm in a bad area and I missed a big portion of what you said.
Okay.
This hospital's kind of crazy. Give me about 3 minutes to get in a different area.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sister Peggy. Can you hear Sister Peggy?
He's on mute.
Sister Peggy, you're on mute.
Yes, yeah, okay. So, assalamu alaikum.
Islam.
And one of the questions I have, now, number one is, what happened to that fireman that made that mistake?
That I don't know.
Oh, okay.
That I don't know.
Oh, okay. So, what would happen to him if he was on your team?
Oh boy. He probably got chewed the hell out.
Okay. All right. So then would
Yeah, that's incorrect ventilation procedures. Because number one, based on our SOPs, You have to have a line in place and ready before you
Mm-hmm.
even vent the window
Uh-huh.
to keep that from happening. There's certain things
Yeah.
you have to have in place before that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So number one, they had a line in place, but it wasn't active. That
Mm-hmm.
active line means that line is charged and it's ready to go. There's water ready.
Right.
Okay. So I can't say, I don't know all the other dynamics behind that, but based on a little clip that I saw, that's incorrect procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is, what would happen to an auditor that did something like that? Would they not be able to
Sister
audit?
Patricia might be able to handle that question a little bit better, but I'm thinking that if you touched on something and you didn't, now that also depends on intention, because you can do it and then you might have to go back through training. But if you do that intentionally, then to me that's an error, that's a break. Now
Right.
there's something else going on. If you did that intentionally, now, and this is my opinion, if you intentionally activated something and you intentionally did that to harm, to me, now you're an SP.
Right.
You're a straight
Right.
snake.
I would say, first of all, the PC, the pre-clear, would have to know what happened to be able to report it, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, there would be a repair. Another auditor would have to come in and do a repair.
Mm.
Yeah. So
if the PC doesn't know,
yeah,
how can anyone else know about it?
exactly.
But brother Lukeman,
Man,
can I say this?
of course.
This is on page. What page is this? God, I have all this writing. All right, page 207 in Science of Survival. Yes, ma'am. On 207, and this is under method used for subject to handle others. And this is just one of the places. There's other places, but this is underlined. The pre-clear should examine his auditor for his position on the tone scale.
Mm.
And if he finds his auditor in the apathy or covert hostility range, he had himself better work the auditor or else render himself liable for inevitable mistakes in the handling of his case. Sister Patricia, can you read that, please? Because it's taken me a long time.
Yes, ma'am. It says the pre-clear should examine his auditor for his position on the tone scale. I just have to say right here, it has to be another auditor. The auditor must be auditing an auditor, because why would a pre-clear know the tone scale?
But finish reading.
Okay. I was just saying that it has to be an auditor that would know that. But anyway, and if he finds his auditor in the apathy or covert hostility range, he had himself better work the auditor or else render himself liable for inevitable mistakes in the handling of his case. Sudden and unexpected affinity breaks and a general confusion. The moral of this column is that auditors should not audit and pre-clears should not permit themselves to be audited unless they are certain of an above 2.0 handling of the case and of people in general. So let me say,
I understand both parts. I understand Sister Tina's part, but I also, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but you're saying from the perspective of, if I'm auditing someone who's not even, they don't understand the tech, they're just there to get the auditing, they would not know the tone or the tone of the pre-clear who's doing the auditing. Is that what you're going to say?
Yes, sir.
I mean, but you can put it in your own words if you want.
Well, no, you said it.
So that is understandable.
I can also give an example though.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm an auditor, and another auditor wanted to audit me, but I knew where that auditor was on the tone scale, so I said, no, I'm not gonna let you audit me. I said more, but I'm not going to say it right here. But I'm an auditor and I know the tone scale and I can recognize
Okay.
if an auditor is low on the tone scale.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm studying the tone scale to be able to spot it whenever I see people or talk to a person. And so I, as an auditor, I've been an auditor since 2010 or 11, and I'm Gold Seal auditor. I've worked at the Church of Scientology as an auditor. So I've audited people from off the street.
Mm.
So I know that most people who are coming into the org to get audited, they don't know anything about it, pretty much. They don't know about the tone scale. They don't know, but an auditor would. That's the point that I was making.
Mm-hmm. No, both of you are correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Correct.
And so the next thing I have to say is I'm in the second week of my purif.
Oh.
The
I just
second of your what?
Purif.
Purification rundown.
Oh, purif. Okay. Okay.
Second week. I missed a day yesterday because I got a flat tire. And so I don't know how we're going to handle that. But I was the day before, which was Sunday, I stayed the whole 5 hours. I think 5 hours. And I don't know if there's something inherent in me that's allowed me to do that. But there's a guy that's in the period. He can't stay in there very long. He keeps coming out. And I said, is this an original thing that we can just stay there? I can just stay.
And what does that entail, if you don't mind me asking, Sister Tina? Being in that state, you say the purif. What does that entail? What do you have to? What's the process of that?
Mm.
That's Sister Peggy.
Sister Peggy.
Oh, that's Sister Peggy. I'm sorry.
Okay, so it's it's called a purification rundown, and it's L. Ron Hubbard developed that, and it is a way of, for lack of a better word, to detox, so to speak. And it has a lot to do with what you have ingested or what you have been exposed to throughout your life. And when you undergo this process, this treatment, then that comes out of you, and then you can have more clarity. Other people have different ways of explaining it, but I'm looking for a lot more clarity. And you will see things such as, remember what Brother Lukman said about what came out of him because he was a fireman. And that's what really made me decide that I would do that. And I will just give you an example for me. I cannot do nightshade. That's tomatoes, potatoes, all kinds of peppers except black pepper, because it's from a pod. Can't do, did I say eggplant? Can't do that. So I don't do any of that. And I stopped doing it. But during my purif, I developed some lesions on my tongue and some, as though I had eaten nightshade. Because if I eat tomatoes, I will get lesions on the side of my tongue. And also I will get swelling in my joints. So I developed that feeling on my tongue. I have not eaten any nightshades. And the night that I went home, I had one of my joints on my right hand became more swollen, and it was painful. And then the next morning it went away. So that's something. So I've even read things about this young man said that he was a lifeguard and said in a swimming pool. And he said that during his purification rundown that he apparently had so much chlorine in him that it's very difficult for the other people in undergoing the purif with him to stay in there with him, and he had to come out. They had to make him come out because the odor was so strong. And so you might have also heard how people might have been doing some kind of mind-altering drugs or whatever when they're young, and now they're part of regular society and they're working some type of, maybe they're this work in the maybe they have a high executive position and you're at a meeting and all of a sudden they just veer off or zone out as though they were having an LSD trip that they had when they were young. So that's the Pura, and I'm trying to become clear, and I'm trying to release all of this stuff like the anesthesia and Novocaine, and maybe the mercury and whatever else I have in me. I want it to be released.
Okay, so this process is done in a room with other people. It's not done privately in a private space. Okay.
No, it's in a sauna.
You're in a sauna.
In a sauna.
Yes.
But the sauna, but there's more than one. You're together in a room with the sauna at the same time. Okay.
I do it with a woman and a guy, but
okay.
So I said,
well, you're not sitting there with a towel on. Everyone's you have a
have
clothes.
Yeah.
It's like a sweat lodge.
When you do it's like an inipi. It's like an inipi.
Yes. Okay.
But you're also taking niacin.
Yeah, a lot of vitamins.
You go through a lot of and here's the kicker. The two of the main vitamins you take in are thiamine and niacin, correct?
Okay.
Okay.
I know niacin, and I remember the niacin in particular and the B complex. So I don't unless it's in the B complex.
Yeah. What's the significance of thiamine and niacin with regards to how to eat to live?
Well, thiamine is something that you can get if you eat whole wheat bread, if it's the right kind of whole wheat.
And the niacin is in what?
And the niacin in a lot of fruits and vegetables.
As well as
the navy beans.
Navy bean.
Oh, well, I wouldn't. Yeah, it's in navy beans has a lot, but I wouldn't think that there's an unusual amount of niacin in
no. I'm just saying that when you look at, because as you're going through the Pura, are you reading Clear Body, Clear Mind at the same time?
Yeah, I read it before, and then I'm reading it off and on again.
So that book and How to Eat to Live, these two books will go together. The Pura is like How to Eat to Live condensed down into a small period of time. How to Eat to Live is how we're supposed to do every day, right? But the two books, the technology do have ARC.
Okay.
2 quick points, and then we'll go with Were you done, Sister Peggy? I'm sorry.
Yes, I just wanted to relate that as my win or whatever.
Okay. Well, let me say congratulations for starting that process. That's a big step. 2 quick points. We'll go to Sister Ania. Sister Sultana, picture it like this. Mock this up. Our lessons say the root of civilization is in Arabia at the holy city of Mecca, which means where knowledge and wisdom of the original man first started when the planet was found. That's what our lessons say, right?
Yes.
Okay, so picture yourself in heaven. Then as you travel to earth, don't you have to come through fire to get to the earth? Right? So now when you're on the earth, wouldn't you have to go through that same fire to get back to heaven?
Yes, sir.
That makes sense, right? Okay. So when you look at all the things in the past that we have done to abuse our bodies, things that we have eaten, taken, smoking, whatever we've done, it's like we were a child and we never experienced any of those things, alcohol, drugs, whatever. Then we went through the fire of abusing ourselves by whatever way we abuse ourselves. Now what happens when we want to go back to heaven, we have to go back through the fire of the things we experienced in the past, right?
Right.
So during the Pura, whatever you experienced in your youth or whatever you did, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, you're going to experience certain things as you're trying to get back to heaven. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because all those chemicals are still lodged in our body. Adipose tissue, fat.
Yes.
One of the reasons why we have fat is used as storage. The body says, look, there's too much toxins in the body.
Yes.
So the body's like, I got to do everything I can to survive because this fool won't stop doing what they're doing. So let me put the toxins in the fat to get the toxins out of circulation. And this is why for some of us, we can keep working out, but we don't lose that. Why? Because we're working out, but we're still eating wrong. Does that make sense?
Well, I missed the beginning of that. Say that again, please.
I say so some individuals that might have the weight, like myself, we can work out, but we don't lose the weight.
Okay.
Because in working out, your body will maintain the weight, the fat. If I'm still eating incorrectly, the body's like, look, you can do all the cardio you want. You're still eating them damn donuts and them potato chips. So I gotta store those toxins. So you can do an hour of cardio, but I'm not letting the fat go.
Right.
I gotta change my diet so that if I'm not doing the toxins, I'm not putting the toxins in my body. My body's okay. Now that you're eating clean, I can let the fat go. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the last point is this. When I did my Purif, by day 3, day 4, day 5, I went, because what happens is you sit in that sauna and then you're like, ooh, I got to cool off. You go jump in the shower, cool yourself off, then you can go jump back in the sauna again. And I dried myself off and I looked and there was a brown, sticky substance on the towel. And I was like, and it smelled like smoke. And what it was is all the years of me working in fire service, I had absorbed the hydrocarbons from the fire, and those substances were still in my body. And now, to this day, thyroid and prostate cancer is very, very high in the fire service.
Yes.
And that's because as firefighters, we take in all these poisons, but we have no process of getting the poisons out. I personally, and I would recommend this, if you can do this before you get to the Purif, if you can, spend $100 and get a personal sauna or get a membership at a gym that has a sauna. I have a personal sauna. My wife got it for me, cost like $85. I work out.
Yes.
Sit in my personal sauna in my bedroom. If you unfold, you can fold it up. You hook this thing, you can sit in it, and it gets hot as hell in there. I do my sweat now to try to continue the process of purifying my system, getting the toxins out. But it's part of the toxins we eat that's keeping us aberrated. Okay. Remember,
thank you for that. Yes.
If stress produces the chemistry, again, going back to the ACTH, if stress produces a chemistry and that chemistry keeps us aberrated, he talks about it in 2 places in book 1. Certain foods that we eat, some of which are called neurotoxins, monosodium glutamate, aspartame, hexsulfame, all those, they're called neurotoxins. Certain foods we eat will cause the body to produce stress hormones.
Yes.
There are certain foods we're eating that are keeping us aberrated.
Sure.
There's certain foods that are keeping us in chronic restimulation.
Yes, sir.
We don't need valences to keep us crazy now. Food is keeping us crazy.
Yes, sir. Okay. Alhamdulillah.
That's just another tangent. Go ahead, Sister Anya.
Oh, I'm sorry. One question. Is a steam room the same, or it has to be dry sauna, a dry heat?
Oh, no, it's a sauna. It's a moist heat. It's just the difference is you're doing it under controlled situations in a program that's tailor-made for you specifically. At the same time you're sweating, you're taking in a whole lot of vitamins and minerals. It's like you're rebooting your whole system.
Right.
And I'm telling you, the Purif, that was a great experience for me.
How many days were you in
It depends on the niacin.
It depends on you. Okay.
There's an end phenomena that lets you know when you're finished.
Okay.
That niacin, boy, it'll heat you up. It causes you to heat up on the inside. It's almost like you're burning away the toxins in your body, but it's under a controlled environment. There's someone there who's skilled they read your chart, they know what's going on, they see the effect of what's taking place. You increase your dosage, then you have what's called an end phenomena. And when you have that, then your Purif is over.
Okay.
It's a great experience.
What is the prerequisite to do that?
Yes.
What is the prerequisite to do the Purist?
You got to have $2,500.
Okay.
There's no prerequisite. You just do it. Again, look at how much money we waste a year.
Yes.
If you total up how much money you waste a year, we waste. If let's say you waste. Let's say, how much do you think you waste on junk food in a month? What would be a good number? Can we say $100 a month? Might be more than that. $100 a month.
That's probably modest.
No, that's modest. That's $25 a week, right? On junk food. Now, when I say junk food, I mean fast food, junk food, Chick-fil-A, Krispy Kreme, Mickey D's, Burger King.
I don't eat any of those. Yeah.
Okay,
No, me
you
either.
probably don't. I'm just saying, it will probably come out to more than $2,500 a year. Why not reinvest that and purify your body?
Right.
And then say, I'm not eating any junk for the rest of the year.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay.
No, I was just wondering, did you have to be somewhere with your studies?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a monetary thing.
No, because really that purif is the start of the process for you to go clear. You're detoxing the body.
First, yes.
Our body is one of the reasons why we stay crazy. We're so full of toxins right now. Okay.
That explains I had in the last couple of years, I had just a deposit of fat appeared on my arm.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a little ball. And I'm like, what and where and why? So you just kind of help explain that it deposited and it's sitting there because I had too much toxins in my system. And it just said, look, we're just going to deposit this, hold this here, so it's not continuing to circulate throughout your body.
Your body pulls it. Sister Ava said it like this: a tumor means too much.
Too much.
It means there's too much in the body. There's a doctor, if you can pull her up on YouTube, Dr. Jewel Pookrum, P-O-O.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Dr. Jewel Pookrum.
I love this.
Women that have problems with fibroids need to get off meat. Need to get off chicken and beef. Get off all meat if you have fibroids. Okay. Tumor means your body's like, think of it like this. And again, I promise I'll shut up after this. Everyone has a junk drawer, right? You have a junk drawer in the kitchen where all the junk is just in one drawer that you can't figure out where it goes. So it's just all in one. So for some of us, that's where all the packets of hot sauce and the sweet and sour sauce and batteries and pens. And it's just one drawer where all the junk is, right? The body does the same thing. They're called tumors.
Yes.
Tumor is a junk drawer. The body's taking the toxins out and saying, look, because this food won't stop eating the cream donuts and the Fritos, we got to put these toxins in one place to get it out of circulation. And this is called eczema, tumors, oils on the skin. Does that make sense?
MashaAllah. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Sister Anya, and then we're going to go to Brother Scott down there. Go ahead, Sister Anya.
Yes, so my question was going back to the fire and the oxygen, and when the guy broke the window and it caused the fire to spread throughout the whole building. When you showed the first video, and you said that in order to get rid of the smoke and everything so that you can have greater visibility, that a window was broken. And at that time, it came up in my mind why I thought oxygen, would cause a fire to spread. And so my question is, in what manner do you break the window correctly to get rid of the smoke and everything, as opposed to what the other guy did?
Okay.
Good question. Fire spread.
You want to, under normal circumstances, you would try to break a window in the room where the fire is, so that fire won't spread to the rest of the house.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
As soon as you break a window, you produce what's called a flow path. And the flow path is like breadcrumbs. So you could have broken a window if there was someplace closer to where the fire was. It just so happens that where that fire was located, the fire was already, the window was already broken. there was no need to vent that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you break, so for example, if I get to the fire, if I find a fire in a room, if I can, the goal would be to break the window in that room. And then as I leave the room, I shut the door and I radio ahead to the engine company. Fire is in the bedroom at the top. Then he should already know that that fire is going to be localized to that. I close the door. That fire stays in place and the rest of the house does not get affected except by smoke. That fire is not going to spread.
Okay. Now, how would you explain that diagnetically?
That when you come to an engram, you reduce that engram entirely without saying, well, you know what, I'm not really, unless you recount it over and over again, you say, is there something similar to this on your time track? But if the auditor gets bored and decides, you know what, I'm bored, I'm tired of recounting this, let's go to something else. No, you don't just beat up engrams because you get bored. You're recounting until you either get some movement or you determine that there's something else further
An
back.
earlier incident.
Okay, does that answer the question?
So an earlier incident could be then explained that even though the fire is localized in this particular room, that's not the origin of the fire. There's some other room in the house.
The fire could have started in the basement.
Yes.
Yeah, and that has happened to us too. That what has happened to us sometimes is the fire will be in one room, and then we find out that we're working on this thing. The fire's not going out. And then they said, someone checked the basement. You know, the fire started someplace else. Where we are is not the seat of the fire. So then when you go a little more digging, you find out the seat of the fire is further down in the house, or it might be somewhere else in the house. That actually has happened to us before, based on the way that the houses are constructed. The fire might be in the attic, but the seat of it is in the basement. And what it did was it traveled up through the wall where you're not going to see it because it's behind the wall.
Oh, then that raises another question. So if there's, let's say if it is in the basement or somewhere like that, and there is no window to break. So what happens then, both in the physical fire and in a dianetic situation?
Well, if there's no fire, if there's no windows to break in the basement, basement fires are some of the most dangerous fires you got to deal with because there's only one way down and one way up in the fire. As soon as you open that door to the basement, you are now in the flow path because the fire is going to want to travel up the stairs to give you a nice little kiss. So those are hard fires to fight. But the basement would be considered what? That would be the basic, right?
Yeah.
Basic would be the root of the fires that are taking the engrams that are taking place further on the time track. If you can't put the fire out here, something tells you, okay, the seat of that fire has to be someplace else. So then 9 times out of 10, you in the cases that we had to deal with, the fire was actually in the basement. But we kind of figured that out. But you start where you are and you work your way down to the basement. It's the same way with water. Same way with water.
The fire could be hidden behind a wall and traveling to another part of the house.
We had that before where we were on the second and third floor, a lot of smoke, and we couldn't track the fire. And the lieutenant, this was going back some years, the lieutenant said, crack the wall right there in the bathroom. We have what's called thermal imaging cameras. You can see the heat behind the wall, or you can just put your hand. And when we cracked it, there are passageways in between the wall inside and the brick or the outer structure. It's called balloon structure. I won't get into all that, but it's a conduit that runs from the basement up to the attic. And when we cracked it open, you could see the fire blow torching up the wall. Yeah. It was blow torching behind the wall. The reactive mind does the same thing. It's burning stuff behind the scenes. You don't even know that it's happening. You just know you're hot all the time. Or aberrated.
You know, I just felt that recently. Just in the last week, I started feeling some kind of aberration. I started getting really impatient.
That's called reset.
Talking a lot and just like I was like, wow, what is going on with me? I don't. This just came out of nowhere. I have never felt like this in a long time. Alhamdulillah. MashaAllah.
Did that answer your question, Sister Ania?
Yes, sir. Other than how do you put out a basement fire?
Very carefully.
Mhm.
You have to basically, you have to be very careful because number one, is that stairwell going down still stable? Basement fires are what actually kill firefighters because you might go head rushing down the stairs and find out that the stairs are already burned away. Now you fall into the basement. How the hell do you get back up again?
Right.
So basement fires, you have to be very, very careful. You have to basically fight that fire from the top. You typically don't find basements that don't have windows. That typically doesn't happen. At least there's small windows.
Yeah.
Well, so sometimes you might have to just stick that hose in that window in the basement and there's other things we have. There's something called a Breslin nozzle, which you don't really see it used too much, but you stick this long thing into the basement. And when you turn it on, it rotates and it's like a giant sprinkler.
Uh-huh.
That way you can try to put out the basement fire without going down because basement fires are real dangerous. So, hopefully in the near future, God willing, I'm putting together a little class. It's kind of, it might be geared more towards children, but adults would be welcome. Just based on fire, just the science of fire. I'm gonna try and do that, hopefully. But does that answer your question, Sister Ania?
Yes, it does, and I mean it's good. I'm appreciative. I'm thankful to Allah that you are a firefighter, that you're able to share this with us, because most of the time, if we had to deal with a fire in a home,
yeah,
this, most people know to stay low, not to throw water on a
Don't put water on a grease fire, please. Don't.
Fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Most people know that, but these other things that you're teaching us about fire can come in very, very, very handy, really, to say, to help save lives. Yes, sir.
Praise to Allah. All right, Brother Scott, you're up.
All right. Well, two things. First, I want to ask everybody to, just say a little prayer for Brother Kerry Muhammad. I'm here with him. He is undergoing.
Wait, should I pause this before you go into any details?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Okay. Let's get back to the ayat real quick. Okay. Everyone still got the Quran open?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
We're
sir.
gonna move kind of fast because it is running late and we're almost at it's almost at the 3-hour mark. The time flies when you're having fun, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it says, do you feel secure that we will not bring you low on a tract of land or send on you a violent wind? Then you will not find a protector for yourselves. We're gonna move very fast on this, so put your seatbelt on. Okay. The cycle of action. We're gonna divide this ayat into 5 parts. So where we have start or birth, we want to have bring you low. Okay, does that make sense? That's the start. On the growth, put on a tract of land. Under conservation, we're going to put send on you. Under decay would be a violent wind. And then the stop part would be you will not find a protector. Does that make sense? We've divided that ayat into 5 parts.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when you look at bring you low, how would you perceive that dianetically? Bring you low. Take bring you low from the Holy Qur'an and make it equivalent to anything that we learned in Dianetics.
Taking you through an engram.
But that which does what to you mentally?
It lowers your tone
Lowers
scale.
your
Tone scale, right?
tone scale.
Okay, now watch this. Bring you low. Tone scale comes to your mind. Now, the word in Arabic the word in Arabic is yakshifa. Yakshifa. Y-A-K-H, oh, yaksifa, excuse me, yaksifa. Y-A-K-H-S-I-F-A. Okay. And what it means is, it means to sink, to cave in, or to sink down. So it does describe going down the tone scale, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It also is that's as a verb. As a noun, it means baseness, ignominy, disgrace, and shame. Isn't that what happens when you go down the tone scale? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, here's another word that, now again, this is from the Arabic dictionary. The word occultation, which is a term used in astronomy, came up. And this is what occultation means. Occultation means the interruption of the light from a celestial body or of the signals from a spacecraft by the intervention of a celestial body. It means there's a blockage between someone and a celestial body or a spacecraft where they're not getting the signal. I thought that was interesting. Okay. So bring you low, we can say bring you low connects to tone scale, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when you look at the word on a tract of land, the word tract, T-R-A-C-T, it's a system of body parts. It also means a system of body parts or organs that act together to perform some function. It means an extent or lapse of time. So an extent of time. But it also means a bundle of nerve fibers having a common origin, termination, and function. Now, it also means the word neck. Okay. The Arabic word is janaba, J-A-N-A-B-A. Now, interesting. So a tract is connected to nerve fibers. Well, isn't nerve fibers considered to be the engram bank?
Yeah, because engrams are on a cellular level, right?
Engrams are on a cellular level. And then when you look at Dynetics and you look at page 67, this is what it says. It says, where you at? It happens that there's some small evidence to support the electrical theory of the nervous system. In pain, there are very heavy overcharges in the nerves. So the tract and the nerves is considered the engram bank, all connect, right? So bringing someone low on a tract of land could be allegorical language to imply someone who's reduced on the time track and it's connected to our physical body, yes?
Yes, sir.
But it also mentions an extent of time. So now tract of land and time track kind of have some ARC, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And a tract of land, the land in Arabic is the Arabic word is bar, B-A-R-R. And so land and earth, but our body is made from the earth, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you look at this ayat, do you feel secure that he, in capital letters, Allah, will not bring you low on a tract of land, could be allegorical language that could mean introduce something into your life that will cause a reduction in the tone scale that has something to do with your physical body. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now remember, the minister said in Divine Destruction of America, Can She Avert It, that grief was going to be a tool that Allah was going to use during the chastisement. And when you look at the shock of the hour is a grievous thing, correct?
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
And then the description of the shock of the hour is a woman will be nursing a child and she'll just leave the child, and men will appear as intoxicated, though they have not drank anything. So it's a time when people are going to be doing things that are going to line right up with mental aberration, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The word shock in Arabic is zalzala, and zalzala also means grief.
Hmm.
Allah says in the Holy Qur'an that he's going to use, I think the term is fire. It's either fire or trial. I can't remember which one it is. He will use the fire to purify the believers, but use the fire to destroy the disbelievers.
Yes, sir.
So fire will be introduced into everybody's life. Everyone has to go through the fire. But those that have studied the tech, that know how to be a mental firefighter, will have the necessary equipment to be in the fire, but not be consumed by it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And those who decide not to get the garments, well, the fire is going to burn them up.
Mhm.
Okay. So bring you on a track of land. Then it says, and send against you. Okay, send against you.
Is this conservation sinned against you?
Yes, 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 ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
So now the next step will send against you. It means make contact or pour forth. So Allah is going to send something to make contact with us, right? Something's going to take place. Allah says he tries us at least once or twice severely every year, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, he's going to send something. But for the believer, if we can say, I am from Allah, and to him I shall return, if we understand that Allah does not introduce this into my life to destroy me,
Right.
he's trying to purify me of a certain character or
Yes.
behavior I need to let go of.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Send on you a violent wind. Okay. Now, the violent wind in Arabic, the word is hasiban, which comes from the root word hasaba. Hasaba. And hasaba is a disturbance in the atmosphere, but it also means tone. This is the Arabic definition. It's a disruption in the tone. So Allah is going to send something that's going to disrupt our tone. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, what is a storm? A storm is a disturbance of the atmosphere marked by wind and usually rain, snow, hail, sleet, or thunder and lightning. Well, we know what makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquake, right? But someone makes that on a mental and emotional level as well as a physical, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Yes, sir.
So the violent wind, someone look up this word, macadamize, Macadamize. I have this word written down. I was going to clear it, but I didn't write it down. Could you look up macadamize real quick?
But Brother Lukman, is
Yes.
that with decay? See, I missed some of these, so that's why I'm asking. Send on you a violent wind. Is that with decay?
Let me see.
Yes.
Yes,
Decay is
the violent storm or violent wind comes under decay. But if someone can pull up macadamize real quick, I want to find out why I wrote that word down. That is one of the words that came up when I pulled up the word violent storm in Arabic. Hasaba. It says to macadamize, but I didn't look up the word macadamize. Someone got to
to make or cover with.
To make or cover with. Okay, so that means you're thank you.
Another one is to construct or finish a road by compacting into a solid mass, a layer of small broken stone.
So you're breaking someone down to a solid mass. L. Ron Hubbard has something called the law of condensation.
Mm.
The more you take away the space from a person, the more aberrated they become. This is why if you're in a cluttered house, you stay aberrated.
Yes.
And if we clean the house, it seems like we become free. We've given ourselves more space, right? So macadamize, which comes from the Arabic word hasaba, is equivalent to what Brother Hubbard calls the law of condensation. Okay, condensation, when something is condensation or condescending, It means con with, and dense means to become thick or heavy. It's becoming thick or heavier. And the principle behind that is as you reduce someone's space, you increase their aberration. Does that make sense? Everyone follow so far?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
just do a quick recap. Brother Scott, this is based on Surah 17, ayat number 68. So
Okay.
Allah says he's gonna bring us low. That means we're going down the tone scale on a track of land in the time track. And track of land is also connected to nerve fibers, which the nervous system is the engram bank, correct? He's bringing us low on the time track to send on you a violent wind. So he's going to have us come in contact with something that is going to be like a violent wind. It's a disturbance in our atmosphere. Okay. And the Arabic word also has something to do with the word tone. So this ayat lines up with the text, does it not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The minister says sometimes Allah sends storms into our life, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then what happens is, but then he says, he's going to send a storm in your life, then you will not find a protector for yourself. So what's going to happen? Is this saying that Allah has the ability to cause circumstances and situations that will cause people to be re-stimulated, and you will not have access to an auditor?
Mm.
Will not have access to the tech that will help you to get through the violent wind, chronic re-stimulation. Because the word protector in Arabic comes from the root word wakala, which means to appoint as a representative, to put someone in charge, to be on a confidential basis, and someone who you can trust. Well, isn't that an auditor?
Yes, sir.
So to me, it seems that this ayat, Surah 17, ayat 68, is describing an event where Allah can allow certain events to take place that will cause people to be re-stimulated, go through mental aberration, mental grief, and mental pain, but he can withhold the ability of someone coming to help relieve of that pain. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Well, that's describing the shock of the hour, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir. And Brother Lukman,
Mm-hmm.
that's the beauty of the minister telling all of us as believers to um, uh, do the first Dianetics extension course. He wanted us all to be audited and the first Dianetics extension course.
Mm-hmm.
That way we as believers know something of this so we can help ourselves in a time when we can't get to anyone else to help us. And really, that's all the time, you know?
There's another element to that. There's another element to that too. We've been through a period of time already where help was denied to us because of what we had to go through.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the 400-year period. And we think about the lion in the cage, but in the problem book, in problem number 13, it says that the average man speaks 400 words considered well. So inside of our 400-year prison, we found ourselves inside of another prison because our language was taken away from us. And, when you read the original thesis, Mr. Hubbard talks about something when he was making his discovery and his gaining his clarity on what an engram actually was. He said that it's a bundle of perceptics. He called it a perceptic entity, and said that in order to deal with this, he had to create a new field called perceptics, which included in it the field of semantics that was developed by a dude named Alfred. How do you say his name? Kurzbisky, something like that.
Krzyzewski, yep.
Yeah, you got it. Mr. Kurzbisky says in the field of semantics, he said, look, a human being is limited in his ability to engage with reality, with the known universe, by two things: his central nervous system and his language. You know, I'm sure most of us have heard the story about when the colonizers coming to America on the ships, and the indigenous people saw them. The elders among the indigenous could not perceive the ships. It was too outside of their language system, their ability to conceptualize, to be able to see the ships. The younger indigenous people saw the ships coming, but the elders could not even perceive it, right? 400 words is a tiny amount of words for a universe that everything is a word, according to the Quran. There's a word for everything that exists because Allah had to say be, right? Now, his position is you don't even define the things you see, you just describe them, because the words are symbols for what the thing actually is. So when you have 400 words, you're actually in a prison. And there was nobody who was allowed to free us until the time was up. You know, and it gets into what we were talking about, Brother Luqman. Here's a 400-year period, and we hear that our Savior gave himself 400 years to live. He could live longer if he wants, but he has a year of life for every year of death that we experience. Man, what a Savior. Anyway, they're calling again. Brother Kerry made it through his surgery, y'all. So all praise is due to Allah. And he got a lot of family is calling now. So I'm going to have to rain check it with you, brother. Maybe, on our next meeting, I can come on and just share a little bit, or you all can come to our Sunday meeting, which is an hour before yours, and we can kind of, so we'll figure it out though.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you, brother. Thank you for your time, and
right.
Let your brother know we send our love and our prayers, and we're thankful that he made it through, and just let him know that we're thinking about him.
Praises be to Allah. Certainly let him know. Thank you, family. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Walaikum salam, sir.
All right. So, okay, I think that would be it.
Brother Luqman, can I share something that came to me when we were just talking about? You know what song came up to me?
What's song,
that? You guys know Shaka Khan's song "Through the Fire"?
Oh, yes.
Go over those lyrics. It just described exactly what we were just talking about. Through the fire, to the limit, to the wall. For a chance to be with you, I'll gladly risk it all. Through the fire, whatever come what may. For a chance to be with you, I'll take it all the way.
Sounds like someone who's willing to travel up a mountain 40 miles high to teach one.
That song just popped in my head. I was like, through the fire.
Praise be to Allah.
Mashallah.
All right. Sister Jocelyn, and then I guess that's where we will wrap it up. I'm going to try to go through these comments real quick, but go ahead, Sister Jocelyn, you got it.
Thank you, Brother Luqman. As I'm reading the surah and listening to what everyone was sharing, I'm looking at the initial question in the ayat, and it says, do you then feel secure that he will not? What would make us feel secure? And the whole process that Minister Farrakhan introducing this tech to us is like the root cause of our disobedience and ingratitude. And I think that's what would cause us to feel secure. Not acknowledging, what has been given to us. If we would have just listened and been obedient to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we wouldn't be where we are now. And I just think that Allah has approved himself who he is and caused the consequences, not cause, but allow the consequences for our disobedience and ingratitude. The minister said several times, he said that it's just this teaching is not, you're not going to get it just from this teaching. So that violent wind has to come. The Quran said, I will, I increase your means of subsistence or straighten it. That's a consequence that I feel we can prevent it if we would just be more grateful and obedient.
Yes, ma'am. That's right and exact. A thought that comes to mind as you were speaking is this. I'm gonna pose a question, and I'll make this very, 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 very brief. But if we're taking nutrients, if we're taking vitamins and minerals, we're taking in things into the body, what are some of the things that would take place that would disallow us to receive the benefit from the vitamins and minerals? What could be part of the problem as to why the vitamins and minerals are not getting into our system? Go ahead, Sister Peggy.
You're going to have a stomach problem. You have an inability to absorb the vitamins, the minerals.
So what could be some of the things that would prohibit us from absorbing vitamins and minerals? I would say either in the stomach or the small intestines. What would be some of the things that would keep that from happening?
You have some food that was there. For instance, if you were a diabetic, it was really serious, and you could have paralysis of your stomach. That would, of course, you had go to have that's a really bad problem. Or you could have B12, lack of B12, lack of enough B12, couldn't absorb. A lot of older people get B12 shots because they can't absorb the iron because they have something going on. It's their intrinsic factor. There's something going on in their stomach that's not, they don't have much intrinsic factor.
Because could there be so much stuff that's just stuck in the gut, maybe like the small intestines, that would inhibit someone from absorbing vitamins and minerals?
Oh, sure, yeah. For instance, as I said, if you have that gastric paralysis, there's stuff that's so much. I mean, that's a serious, serious problem. It's not what we call an everyday problem, but because of the diabetes, your stomach is paralyzed, and it's in your stomach. It doesn't go down. That's a surgical problem. It becomes a surgical problem.
So is there a way to perhaps clean out, if it was a problem with accumulated waste, is there a way that we can clean out the accumulated waste in the digestive system that would allow the proper absorption of vitamins and nutrients?
So a less severe problem than that would be, well, I don't know. I've never done anything like that. And when people tell me this is a detoxifier, I just stay away from it because I don't like to fool with my bowel. But the one meal a day is a kind of a mild way to detoxify. You only eat once a day. You get rid of what you have within the next 24 to 36, and then that will help keep you regular, and you'll be able to eat your food on a regular basis, and then it's not going to stay in your body very long, and that can be expelled, and then whatever you eat the next time, you can be able to absorb that.
Okay, so go ahead.
So when it comes to what could I take or what could we take to do that, I don't.
Okay, but the bottom line is, part of the problem of absorbing vitamins and minerals and nutrients is that, and I'm specifically looking at the small intestines. Our small intestines could have accumulated waste that's really blocking the absorption, correct? And then if we can just get that stuff out of the way, then our body will naturally absorb the vitamins and minerals that will give us good health, correct?
Right, the right gut bacteria.
Okay, now that's just a demo kit, because You take that and now make it applicable on a mental level. The teachings will work, but we have mental stuff that has accumulated.
Mm-hmm.
The Dianetics is a supplement or a tech that's used to remove the stuff we have in our mind already that's blocking the teachings from getting in. That's the relationship of the tech, the supreme wisdom, and the supreme technology. The supreme wisdom is the nutrients. Not to say that the supreme technology is not. That is nutrients as well. But the supreme technology, the Dianetics, cleans out our mental digestive system so we can access the nutrients that are already in our teachings. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Clearing the blockage.
Yes, sir. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay. We're trying to clear out the garbage
Mm-hmm.
because we know the teachings work. Well, how do you know? Most time Elijah Muhammad, Yahweh Minister Louis Farrakhan. And then if you look at some of the students, Dr. Ava, Mother Tanetta, Brother Jabril. Okay, so we can verify there's nothing wrong with the teachings. Right. And the question is, how come there's not more Farrakhans? How come there's not more brothers and sisters that are on that level? Because that's where the minister wants us to go, correct?
Uh-huh.
Yes,
The problem
sir.
is not with the teachings. The problem is we have stuff that we've been carrying around with us that's not allowing the teachings to be absorbed. And that's why the tech is so important. It cleans out the stuff from our past so we can extract the nutrients from the teachings that we already have.
And that's what I got from this session today, Brother.
All praise is due to Allah. So with that,
the gut, clear the gut.
Yeah, we got to clear the gut.
But you clear it with there's many ways to remove the fecal matter that gets stuck onto the intestines that that block the absorption.
Yep.
Because that whatever's there has been there for years and years and years.
Yeah, those are called engrams.
And it calcifies and it sits in the colon, calcifies, blocking absorption. Then you have to treat the gut to get the correct probiotics, the prebiotics. The prebiotics are the good bacteria that help break down all those things. And because of our diets, we have more of the bad bacteria, which is allowing it to asphyxiate to the colon, and not enough of the good bacteria to help break it up.
So let's say the bad stuff represents valences and engrams and all those things that keep us aberrated. And let's say the good gut bacteria, those are the pleasure moments. But the bottom line is the teachings work, but we have to get rid of the stuff that we're carrying.
The stuff that's blocked. Yes, sir.
That's what's blocking us. So Sister Jaslyn.
I just have one quick question, Brother Lukman.
Okay,
Would you say that valences are actually in our DNA, or that's all mental?
From my understanding, the genetic entity is the experiences from the past that are recorded genetically. Now, if you were to Google Mother Tanetta Muhammad and DNA, it'll bring you to some articles in the Final Call newspaper, and I think she will bear witness to that. I'm going to do a little research on that. But when you look at what Dr. Ava has said, and I don't know if you've seen this video, but she talks about how we are our spiritual, the spiritual side of us, that is who we are in a physical body. She said that we are 78 trillion years old. That would mean that we are carrying around more than just us, and we don't even know who us is. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. I think, yes, sir, most definitely. Thank you.
Us is the collective. Yeah,
right.
the collective.
But I'm saying us. I'm using the word us from the standpoint of when we look, because I think she said this before, and I can't remember where I've heard this from. I think there's a book. Is it The Force and Power of Being that she wrote?
Yes, she did, sir.
Okay. It might be in that book. I'm not 100% sure. She said every person has at least 12 personalities. I think.
Yes, I think that was the one.
Okay.
Yep, I think it was in the Mind Wars part.
Okay, yeah. And I see in Mind Wars, that was done when she spoke in Cornell University in, I believe it was 1992. by Allah's grace, I was actually doing security for her at Cornell on that one. So she came to visit our mosque in Syracuse in 92. We had a chance to actually meet her. That was a blessing.
This is Dr. Ava Muhammad?
Save
Oh,
it.
okay.
That was during the mine wars. We have 12 personalities. So I'll end it on that. I had that book and I don't know what happened to it, but did everyone, even though we kind of went all around the world, this is just a preview of what's going to take place on Sunday, God willing. Did we get something? Did we get some case gain? Did we get some understanding? Can we see how the Holy Qur'an really is a book on processing? And once we know the book in our language, we can take the Holy Qur'an and gain an understanding of everything in the universe.
Yes, sir.
Depending on where my passion is math and science, your passion might be something else, but you'll find what you need to find based on putting it in the fine language that you know. We can find it in the Holy Qur'an and in the teachings of the Most High Elijah Muhammad.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you for being patient for the past 3 hours and 15 minutes.
MashaAllah. Shukran. Shukran.
So I guess we will go ahead and close it out in prayer. Attention prayer. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed Satan. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. Master of the day of judgment in which we now live, thee alone do we serve, thine aid do we seek. Please, Allah, guide us on the straight path, the path upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not the path upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray after hearing thy teaching. Ameen.
Ameen.
All praise is due to Allah. Thank you for your time and your patience. And I pray, Allah, that we will see each other again on Sunday, the 8th.
Sir.
Assalamu alaikum, family.
Wa alaikum
Wa alaikum
assalam.
salam.
Sir.
Shukran.